Hey guys, Jay here. Welcome to EonsOfBattle, and I really like the game Malifaux. I play Kill Team all the time. I love 40k, Age of Sigmar, getting into Warcry a little bit, don't tell anybody, but I love Malifaux. Malifaux is a game that I discovered, I guess I kind of always known that Malifaux existed, but I didn't get into it until I saw the Showgirl performers. So the thing about Malifaux, it's a very different war game than like any of 40k's games. Malifaux is based on characters. It's a little bit like Marvel Crisis Protocol. And so you have your character and they have a card. This is Colette Dubois, my favorite. And this is Colette Dubois' card. And on this card is all of the rules. There's no need for codexes in Malifaux, although there are codexes and they actually are kind of useful. But you get your model, you get your card, and that is all of the things that they can do in the game, which is lovely. I love to jump from game to game to game to game to game to game. And it's really great when all of that information is laid out perfectly for you. Like simple, easy. If I'm gonna be using some Cassandra Felton, I can just put down the Colette card and pick up the Cassandra card, and then I am ready to play. But really what made me fall in love with Malifaux is the miniatures, because they're beautiful and they're gorgeous. They're in a 32mm realistic scale. And so the models are very small. And because they're very small, they actually paint up relatively quickly, but the models are beautifully detailed. And so, you know, I can paint up a Space Marine I know everything about Space Marines. I've painted hundreds of them, but Malifaux has given me some really, really unique painting challenges. And that's what I love about this game. Pouring tons and tons and tons of effort into these tiny, tiny miniatures. And then there's like a game to go along with them. It's like the best of everything. But I dabble in lots and lots of war games, but I think Malifaux is one of those games that I am really, really going to play. I have two completed teams. Not the Resurrectionists, the Arcanist Showgirl performers. They are it's a theater. It's the Star Theater in Malifaux, because Malifaux has very extensive lore covering everything. And so the Colette Dubois and the Showgirls are part of the Star Theater, and they are secret magic smugglers. In the world of Malifaux, the magic comes from these things called soul stones, and Colette Dubois and the crew run the largest smuggling empire in all of Malifaux. And they actually use this magic to embellish their performances, to make them even more magical and amazing, which has prompted them into the starlight. And so they are like, basically they're super crazy famous like movie stars who are secretly smuggling magic on the side. The second team I collected was Nekima and the Nephilim, the Black-Blooded. Then very similar to the Showgirls, they are a faction of, like, I guess in opposition to the Showgirls, they are all evil monsters. They are part of the Neverborn, the residents of Malifaux. So what Malifaux is back in like the Industrial Revolution, a rift opened up in time and space, and when pioneers went through it, they discovered the other world, the underside, and that was Malifaux. And there was already people living there, and that was the Nephilim and all of the evil monsters of Malifaux. And so the Nephilim hate the humans because the humans don't belong there. And Nekima and her Nephilim cohorts basically just murder every single human they find. And it kind of as is their right. I mean, it was their home first. And so they don't want these humans messing around in their Malifaux. But I have two full teams, and that is why I have decided Malifaux is a real game, and I am going to get all into it. I got some stuff. I bought $400 worth of Malifaux, and it's a lot of stuff. I mean, I already have everything I need to play Malifaux, but now I have enough stuff to like lead an entire gaming store in games of Malifaux, which is my dream. I want to champion this game. I love this game, and I want to have factions that I can loan out to friends, and we can all play Malifaux together. And most importantly, so that I get to play games of Malifaux, because Malifaux is a smaller game. Really, the only big game in the world of wargaming is 40k, but If I want to play Malifaux, I'm going to need all of the stuff so that I can loan it out to friends so that they can play with me. So let me explain a little bit of this madness. The only thing you need to play Malifaux is one of these, a core box. This comes with all the models you need, and it comes with the cards that those models have the rules for. So inside of this box is everything you need to play. The only other thing you would need is a deck of cards. Malifaux doesn't use dice. It actually uses a standard 52 deck of playing cards in place of dice. This is the Riva core box for the, what are they called? They're the bird. They are the resurrectionists. They are necromancers. They bring dead things back to life. And in Malifaux, things die very, very frequently. The Malifaux decks of cards, this is essentially a really nice set of dice. But for Malifaux, because they use cards, you need cards. And they're so beautiful. They come with pictures of the actual models that are in your faction. And they have a deck of cards based on each faction. I got all of the decks of cards for all the factions that I play, which is totally superfluous. A normal deck of cards would suffice, but I wanted all of the nice little things. I went about this in a very dumb way. I had a budget of $400 and I could have bought like 4 teams, but instead I went all in on 2 teams and all of the lovely little add-ons. The next thing I'm going to be doing for Malifaux is the Yoko core box. They are the spies of Malifaux. They run all of the brothels and the restaurants, and they're not tough and they're not strong, but it doesn't matter in Malifaux because it's an objective-based game, and so you don't necessarily need to be great fighters. It's not, you move your models and shoot me, I move my models and shoot you. It's all about strategy. And they are the spies. The reason that they're still kicking in the world of Malifaux is because they know all the secrets. They know where all the bodies are buried. And so that keeps them teetering on the knife edge of being wiped out by rival gangs or like being the pinnacle. They're very high up in the echelons of Malifaux. And I got they're part of the 10 Thunders faction, and I got the 10 Thunders faction core book. It's sort of like a codex, but it's also not like a codex. I think that Games Workshop could learn a lot from Malifaux. I mean, they would have to fundamentally change their game because Malifaux has essentially fewer rules per faction. But these books come with lore, which is lovely. I've read all of them, and the lore is really, really good. It's really fun. It's great that every single model has lore to go along with it. Like, Colette Dubois started as nothing and built her empire, and Cassandra Felton. Oh, and Colette Dubois, she loves her showgirls. She's like motherly to them. She makes sure that they're all safe and protected while they're going about doing their stealing of crystals, stealing of soul stones. But then Cassandra Felton is her bodyguard. She's fiercely loyal to Colette Dubois, and pretty much everything has really deep lore. It reminds me a lot of the 40k codexes from like 5th, 6th, and 7th edition, where every single unit had like a page devoted to them, because every single model has a chance of being somebody's favorite. So whatever your favorite model is, you're gonna get to read some lovely lore to help you get invested and really sold on that character. And that's what these codexes are really good for. Malifaux is broken into 8 factions, but within each faction, there's a lot of different armies you can pick from. You need a core box, and the core box comes with like 3 to 10 models, and you can find information on all of those models in that specific faction inside of these core books. So if you were thinking of dipping your toes into Malifaux, I think actually looking at the 8 factions and seeing which one appeals to you and then purchasing the codex might actually be a really good move, because this not only gives you all of the information on all of the units from that faction, but it also gives you access to all of the cards and rules for all of the models in that faction. Malifaux is very strategic, and so every single crew plays a little bit differently. So it might not be a bad idea to get this book and then like download the free rules off of the weird website and just play around with proxy models, playing with the different cards until you find ones that really jive with you. I really like the Showgirl performers because they have some fun rules in their mannequins and choreography. They're essentially robots, but when a choreography dies, you place a mannequin in its place. And so it's a little bit like the Necrons with reanimation. You don't just kill a model, it comes back to life in another deadly form. But I wouldn't have known that until I actually read their rules in one of these books. So, and they're not as expensive as Games Workshop's codexes. So yeah, if you were thinking at all about Malifaux, these books are really nice. But I bought a bunch of these books and all the cards, where I could have gotten more Malifaux models. If you just want stuff, Malifaux makes it really easy because you don't have to buy all of these superfluous things. I didn't need to buy green playing cards so that I could use my Resurrectionists. I could have just used anything. I could use this deck of cards for all of the factions, but I really like it. They're printed on beautiful plastic, and so they're really, really springy and they're not gonna fall apart. And they have the printings of the characters on the cards. It's like rolling a beautiful set of dice is what these cards are like. But I decided to go with the Yoko core box. So, this box is everything I need to play. But there's also expansions, and a lot of expansions. These core boxes are about $50 each, but the expansions are cheaper. And so I decided to get all of the available expansions for my crew. And so basically, I'm never gonna play any of these factions the same way twice, which is usually how I play war games, because I like to collect lots of models very, very quickly, and I don't get to play that many games. So I'm gonna have 4 factions with literally everything you can buy for that faction. So, I'm gonna play them performers 20 times in my life. And if I'm gonna be bringing, 4 to 8 crew members per game, literally I can mix and match and never play the same list twice, which means that I'm not gonna build up like a really good strategy and I'm gonna lose almost every single game, but it means I'm gonna have a lot of fun. And I get to try out so many different things. Also, these expansions are a really good way to try out different playstyles. We've got the Dragon, who's very different from the other members of the 10 Thunders of the Yoko core box because it's big and strong and has a lot of wounds, which is very different than the other units in this faction. Or I could try the, Kanoshi, which are like ninjas who are really, really fast and they're good at stabbing, but they don't have a lot of ranged anything. Actually, nothing in this faction has any range to speak of, except for the Charm Wardens who can cast magic. I have so many beautiful models to work on. Another big reason of why I picked this is because I want the painting challenge. Lots of light skin tones and whites and oranges and reds, and I'm gonna try to paint designs onto the clothing. I mean, these models are so small. They're the same size as these regular humans for my performers. That is not a lot of room, but I'm excited for the challenge. And then whatever I learn painting these models, I get to take and put to all of my other models. The 10 Thunders are gonna be my perfect faction, where everyone else is a little bit run down and messy and disheveled to some degree. These guys are gonna be pristine and perfect and clean. But because I went perfect and clean with these guys, with the 10 Thunders, for the other faction I decided to get, I went the complete opposite direction. I got the Riva core box. These guys are the Resurrectionists, and they are the things that go bump in the night. They are spooky, they're scary, many of them are skeletons, and these guys are gonna be a really, really unique challenge because they're really messy and dirty and covered in grime and bodily fluids, and they're gonna be really, really gross. And so I need to figure out, do I paint them perfectly and then grime them up? Do I start grimy and then like perfect some aspects of them? I mean, the great thing about this is the leader of this gang is a nun riding a spooky horse through a graveyard full of spooks. It's just, it's too bad that we're already out of October because this is very spooky, scary, skeleton, Halloween themed faction. And of course, I got even more than the stuff for the 10 Thunders. I got everything, which is really dumb. Like, it's gonna take so many games before I've actually experienced all of these different things, and I don't know if all of these miniatures actually fit in the Cobalt Keep display cases that I like to keep my Malifaux models in. Like, they might have 2 display cases to hold all of these minis, but I am ready for the challenge. I mean, look at this guy. It's a graveyard come to life. It's literally a golem made of mud and dirt, and like the tombstones that were just sitting there on the ground are still stuck to him. It's wonderful and inventive and spooky. Malifaux is great, I think, because it has a very different art style to any other miniatures game, Where a lot of other miniature games, I think, try to look like other games to be a little bit more appealing. Like, you get a little bit of a crossover audience. Malifaux and Weird went hard into like steampunk, like Americana. It's so weird. Like, I can see a miniature and instantly see their style. And that style is not going to appeal to everyone, but I think it's going to appeal to a lot of people because it's got a charm. It's really sleek and stylish, but it's also very silly. Once again, the gravestones stuck onto a big spooky guy made of mud. Who doesn't want that miniature? And because it's even relatively a low model count game, I mean, this is literally far too much stuff. And it's only 31 models that I bought. So it's, 3 squads of tactical marines in terms of just how much there is. But getting to just the lovingly giving each model some time on the painting bench is gonna be really, really fun. There's a bunch of games that I play, like Star Wars Legion. I just crank those minis out. And it's fun, and they turn out looking good because Star Wars is like really good at designing characters and having them look iconic. But Malifaux is the game where I sink some time into and I make sure that everything is perfect. And at the end, I have this character who looks like the beautiful painting on the box art. And I can read about that character and their history and their wants and desires and their thoughts and feelings on things and how they fit into the world of Malifaux, where Malifaux, everything is just like, it's kind of like 40K, everything is crappy all the time, but in a very different way. Where 40K has different alien factions who all believe that they are the owners of the world. Malifaux, sometimes you get characters who they're just trying to make some cash. And that's great. They just want to steal and drink nice wine and party. And that's why they're fighting little battles and skirmishes and murdering people. There's a whole faction of goblins, actually not goblins, but gremlins, called the Bayou faction. And the Bayou faction is 4 orc players. You got Trixie Belle, who's a lady of the night, a little goblin this big. You got, there's a whole core box of gremlins who make moonshine. And they've got like a beer golem, and they've just, it's wonderful and silly and weird, which is the name of the company that makes all of this stuff. I love Malifaux, and I have so much Malifaux to work on, but I'm excited. And this was a little bit of a reward for myself for actually getting 2 Malifaux teams painted. I currently, well, not currently, but before these models arrived, I had no Malifaux pile of shame. And to reward myself, I bought an entire pile of shame. But it's great. I can play Malifaux. I have everything I need. Far more than everything I need. And now I got some new crews in the works that are coming along. I've got all the books for some light reading material after Din Din. As I'm curling up to get ready for bed, I can just read about the horrors of Malifaux. It's great. Another reason why I'm really excited is, I don't know if you guys know this, but I like basing a little bit. And these guys are giving me so many opportunities to try out different basing stuff. Because 40K is all, it's either an arid, dry planet or a factory. But with these guys, there's a lot of interesting stuff. With my showgirls, I have them standing upon a stage. With my Nephilim, I have them in the deep, dark, swampy, disgusting forest. And so for my resurrectionists, it's going to be graveyards all day, every day. I might have to get some of like the Age of Sigmar mausoleum terrain. They might have discontinued that, but I might be able to find some and sprinkle that throughout their basing schemes. And with the Yoko core box, I'm going Japanese. I got some of Weird's custom bases, and so I'm going to use these, but this is only 5, so I'm going to have to replicate some of my own, probably using some epic basing bits and some other fun stuff that I can find. Texture rollers. It's like a whole extra little challenge, setting them in the world that these books told me all about. It's a little bit like Star Wars. My Star Wars Legion miniatures, I recognize the things from the movie, and so I try to replicate the things from the movie. But what's fun about Malifaux is there is beautiful artwork of every single character, but there's not that much to go on for the actual world. So all of the beautiful imagery that's created in the words of these books I get to interpret in my mind and then digest and then vomit onto my miniatures. I have so much Malifaux now, and I am looking forward to it. Malifaux is a game I've completely fallen in love with, and please let me know in the comments, is there any game out there that you have fallen in love with? Maybe you don't have anybody to play it with, or nobody else in your life has expressed any interest in it, but you're just like, man, Drop Zone Commander, you know every model in the range, you know everything about it, and you're just dying to step into it. Let me know in the comments, what is that game for you? I think the only thing that I like more than Malifaux is our Patreon. Over there, we make custom train packs every single month. This month, we have the Wasteland cars, ready to drive donuts around your game boards. We also make one extra episode of Eons of Battle a week where we critique our viewers' miniatures, and we host weekly Discord hangouts. We also have a new tier where you can get your name on one of my Black Templar Space Marines, and you can join the Legion. But I'm not thinking about the Legion today, because today I am thinking about the wonderful, dark, grimy, greasy world of Malifaux. Thanks for watching.